Online Chapel. I'm your host, Dawn Daly, with the useless assistant teacher, Clark Kent. Clark. We are coming to you at High Falls State Park. If you remember last time, the United Kingdom, 120 years, Israel for the first time was united under human king. There were 3 of them. And the last one, Solomon, we're about to see how his sin brings down the fall of a great nation. You know, a really high fall. Now, Solomon reigned for 40 years, and the people worked hard. They had built him an amazing palace. They had built God an amazing temple, and they were just weary. And so when Solomon died of natural causes, his son Rehoboam took over. So the people came to him. They were led by a man named Jeroboam, no relation. And they came to Rehoboam and said, look, we worked really hard for your dad. Could you maybe lighten up on us? Let us go take care of our own farms, our own houses. And so anytime you're faced with a big decision, do what Rehoboam did. He said, give me 3 days to decide. We've all had to make decisions, big ones, little ones, and it's always smart to take some time to think it through. Anytime you're making a decision, first thing you want to do is go, what does God have to say about it? Because sometimes God has laid out very clearly things that you should and should not do. So here's some scripture to maybe help you out. James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. Ask God for wisdom, seeing it from his perspective. He knows things that you could never even know. Proverbs 11:14. Where there is no guidance, a people will fall. But in the abundance of counselors, there is safety. So when you've got a decision to make, it's always wise to have a counselor. Ask somebody for advice. But who? So Rehoboam did what any smart person would do. He decided to go ask other people's opinion. So he first spoke to his dad's counselors, the men that had worked closely with Solomon, the wisest man ever, and said, well, what do you think I should do? And they said, look, you need to honor the people. They will be loyal to you because you are listening to their needs. Rehoboam wanted to get a second opinion. So he went to his friends, people that are his age, people that had never had to lead anything. And he said, what do you guys think I should do? Well, his friend said, those people are trying to push you around. You need to show them who is boss. You tell them that you're going to work them harder than your dad ever did. And if they don't listen to you, you're going to punish them worse than they could ever imagine. It's going to be like stinging scorpions. So Rehoboam has 2 very different opinions on what he should do in the situation. Good idea, bad idea. Good idea. His father's counselors had wisdom. They had experience. And they had the people's concern and needs in mind. Bad idea. Rehoboam's friends, let's consider their motives. Their motives were, we're going to show everybody who is boss and who is tougher. And we also have to consider, how much did they really know? Had they experienced enough of life and been through enough situations to give wise counsel in the situation? Who would you listen to? So after 3 days, Rehoboam came back to the people and said, you think my dad was tough? I'm going to be even tougher. And if you don't listen to me, it's going to be like stinging scorpions. Well, the people did not like that answer. And so they responded like a lot of people would. To your tents, O Israel. That meant we're out of here and we're getting our own king. And at that moment, the United Kingdom divided. So what should we learn from Rehoboam's bad decision? Use common sense. If you yell at somebody, they're going to yell back. You barge into somebody's house, there's going to be consequences. Don't be a chicken to make the difficult choice. Sometimes it may be harder for you, and sometimes it may be something that you don't like. Make sure your motives are not shellfish. No, really.
Sometimes we make decisions because it's what's best for us and it's about us. That is not what Jesus would have us do. Don't listen to your friends. They don't know anything. They're kind of goofy. Most importantly, be a hunter of the truth. Be a hunter of what God would have you do. Last but not least, don't just seek wise counsel, follow wise counsel.
Well, when the kingdom divided, you can't have two countries named Israel. So the two tribes down in Judah just took the name Judah, and everybody else kept the name Israel. Now the two tribes down in Judea kept Rehoboam as their king, and they stayed right there with Jerusalem and the temple. Well, the 10 tribes in the northern area, they made Jeroboam as their king. So yes, there's a Rehoboam and a Jeroboam. And the country was divided. Now they fought each other sometimes, they fought other countries, but it was not good. Now Jeroboam was concerned that the 10 tribes might try to go back to Rehoboam because that's where the temple was and they needed a place to worship. So he had 2 golden calves made and told the Jews, this is what we're now going to worship. Worship the golden calves. And so Rehoboam brought in idol worship. I don't really have anything important to say right now. I just wanted some cool footage of me on the bridge with the falls below. As you can see, Clark Kent does a great job of, stopping at every plant and sniffing it. And sometimes he pulls me uphill. For 400 years, God's people were divided. And over that period of time, Judah had 20 kings, and only 8 of them followed God. Well, Israel had 19 kings, and none of them listened to God, and all of them were involved in idol worship. So during this divided kingdom, God sent prophets. He sent them with a warning. Turn back to God or there's going to be consequences. And the consequences were kind of severe. You would be exiled from the land. Now to Israel, he sent Elijah and Elisha. And of course, none of them listened. And in that same time, he sent Amos and Hosea. Now Israel had no good kings that turned them back to God. So in 721 BC, God allowed the Assyrian Empire to come in and take Israel. Now, Assyrians had an interesting way of taking over. They would come in, capture everybody, and then take those people and scatter them all over the Assyrian Empire. And because of that, the 10 tribes in Israel were scattered and lost amongst other people groups. Now, because of the good kings in Judah, Judah had about 130 more years than Israel did. But in that time, another group came in and took over the Assyrians, the Babylonians. And God sent prophets like Isaiah, Zephaniah, Micah, Jeremiah, a lot of Ayah prophets, came to warn Judah, but also give them a promise. They would be exiled, but God would only make them be gone for 70 years. So in 586 BC, the Babylonians came in, took over Jerusalem, and destroyed the temple. It was horrible. Even Habakkuk, the prophet, saw this horrible thing happen and watched the capital city of Israel burn. He was brokenhearted. But God makes a promise that they will only be exiled for 70 years. Now, the Babylonians did things a little bit different. They came in and took the brightest and best young people of Judah and took them over to Babylon to train them in their ways. And so they took guys like Daniel, Ezekiel, Habakkuk, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Oh, you guys may actually know them by their Babylonian names, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. See, it all fits together. God promised 70 years, and almost to the day, 70 years, and the Persians came in and took over the Babylonians and were ready to send the Jews back to their homeland. God always keeps his promises. Even in a time of such despair, God spoke. And I love the verse in Habakkuk 1:5. Look at the nation and watch, and be utterly amazed.
For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told. So even in this tough time of exile, God is not done with his people. Because remember God's big plan. It was to use the Jews to bring the Messiah. God has a plan. God always has a plan. So Clark and I are here back at the campsite, although I don't know if you really classified this as camping. So I guess that means our time is over. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I want to leave you with a virtual high five. Bye. By the way, if you want to know what my t-shirt means, ask your parents, because Goonies never say die. So to Israel, he sent Elisha and Elijah, and I did that backwards. So we're going to flip-flop those guys. Israel had no good kings that turned them back to God. And so in 1921, no. Okay. So in so the upper portion, now the Persians do things very differently. And over nope. Clark, you got anything you want to add? No?